Yo, what's good? What's good? We back. We back. I'm here, to talk about Thunderbolts drop. All right, everybody knows. Everybody's watched it. This is gonna be like a half spoiler, half not spoiler review. I feel like the first whatever is gonna be general comments, and then later on we're gonna get into like the nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? Like the meat and taters. You know what I'm saying? Post production Louis here. This is Cat. I don't know what I was thinking, but this is the nitty and the gritty from the jump. So if you care and you haven't watched the movie, go ahead and hop off. I'm just looking out for y'all. Anyway, um, just big picture stuff. Like, I'm not mad at this movie. This movie's decent. I feel like every time you see shit online, it's always like mad left or mad right. This movie's decent. Honestly, I think I'm leaning more towards good. I like this movie more so because of what it means for the MCU, and I say that because I feel like we just kind of lack direction. Phase 4, everybody's gonna remember as the phase or the era where Marvel shat its pants after Endgame. In hindsight, I don't actually think it was that bad. And I think I might actually drop a video specifically about that. Because what it was, right? Phase 4, they just started opening all these doors, all these different storylines, and we just over here waiting on like, yo, this shit's supposed to connect, right? This is a cinematic universe. Like, where's the connection? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like right now they're starting to put into place, the big players. You know what I'm saying, in the MCU with Falcon Brave New World or whatever that came out. But also Thunderbolts. I think Yelena is really coming out to be like, one of the big dogs in the MCU, and I like the fact that they're choosing who the big people are gonna be. It's dope that Yelena has her team, and they mentioned the fact that like 14 months later, Falcon or Captain America has already chosen his squad and they're kind of feuding. I like the fact that like, okay, we have an idea of what's going on, and so that's what I mean by like big picture. I appreciate this movie. It's not perfect, but like I think it's one of those movies that we can look back on later. Like when we reach Doomsday, we could look back at Thunderbolts and was like, yo, remember all the shit that they were setting up? Like this is like one of the early stages. This gives me vibes of like phase 1 Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the first Thor movie, buns in my opinion. So that's a bad example. But let's look at like, obviously Iron Man 1 is goated, and the Incredible Hulk. See, Incredible Hulk is a perfect example. This movie's definitely better than The Incredible Hulk. But you see how the narrative is kind of switching around, that movie, like everyone's like kind of romanticizing it. I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen with Thunderbolts. If Avengers Doomsday delivers, we're going to see this as like, one of the first building blocks towards Doomsday. You see what I'm saying? So I think from that regard, I really do appreciate this movie because it's like one of them team-up movies. It's a classic team-up movie. That hinges a lot on the chemistry between the characters, less so than the plot. And I think it does a decent job at that. Reintroducing characters to force you to care about them. They kind of have to do that, given that like we're kind of in a rebuild phase. But I feel like, for example, Ghost from Ant-Man 2, like, yeah, I thought she was dope. She has dope abilities, but I feel like they just didn't want her to shine. Like, she barely had lines in the script, in my opinion. And, her scenes always seem to be stunted. Like when she was about to pop out of the limo to deal with like the CIA, I was like, okay, Shorty's about to get to work, only for them to turn up the music a little too loud, and then Shorty had to be dragged back inside. Like I was like, okay, y'all not giving her like the stage for real. But I do think that like the banter was kind of there. I really see this movie as like it's like a worse Guardians of the Galaxy 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a buddy of mine was saying this. So, listen. I feel as though, like, this movie's plot is kind of just ass. Team movies are dope because we get to see them interact with each other. And I think the banter between, John Walker, Yelena, Sentry, Ghost, Bucky, like, that's kind of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate that. But I don't feel like the team is given much to do. Do you see what I'm saying? Like in Guardians, obviously they're just chasing after Infinity Stone. Like that's not anything crazy. But specifically in this movie, I feel like because the characters don't bounce off of each other as well as they did in Guardians, it kind of leaves the flat plot, a little bit too jarring. And I think where the movies definitely Why am I doing so many hand signs, bro? I think where the movies really come together, right, is how they kind of end. Because that's my biggest gripe with this movie, is the fact that, like, the conclusion is, like, Buddy just needed a hug. Straight up. Like, Buddy just needed a hug, and then he kind of, like, he's fixed. You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's, like, hella lame. Matter of fact, that's the second time, back to back, that the big bad villain in an MCU movie is talk no jutsu. Like, we already had, you know what I'm saying, like, Falcon talk down the Red Hulk, which was stupid as hell because the Red Hulk literally has a built-in weakness that you could have exploited to defeat him. But instead, you know what I'm saying, they just started playing Sadness and Sorrow on the violin, and he was talking him down. And I'm like, fam, like, we already did Sun's getting real low. Why is Falcon doing this with Thunderbolt Ross, bro? Like, it's stupid. So then we get to, like, you know, Thunderbolts. Sentry comes out. His power level is, you know, through the roof. And already the gears are turning in your head. You're like, okay, so, like, how are they about to do this? And what I was hoping is, like, you know, he'd get Captain Marvel where, like, he just kind of runs away off world and he just comes out when it's convenient. Because, you know, the issue with this power, you know, disparity is just like, okay, then how do you really create stakes when one guy is more powerful than all of his teammates combined? This is the Justice League. You know what I'm saying? So I was worried about that. And I think for good reason, because, again, that movie comes around and how do we beat him? Aww. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's lame. That's lame to me. I just thought, like, there was just a better way to conclude it. And that kind of fell flat for me. That's honestly my biggest issue with the movie. But again, I don't think all the characters were utilized enough, especially like the main cast, like Ghost. Again, she was kind of just hoed for no reason. John Walker, I think they're doing a really good job making us care about him. I think I'm gonna make a YouTube video about like all the up and coming, you know what I'm saying, like the double XL freshmen of the MCU that I'm excited to see. That's actually a great title. I just snapped. Yo, listen, I'm kind of going crazy right now. Stay tuned to watch the videos. But yeah, I think John Walker's done really well. Yelena, like Florence Pugh, does a phenomenal job. She understands her character. And I don't know, even though, like, you know, if she was like mentored by Scarlett Johansson or whatever, because the characters are rather different. But regardless, like, I think it's really dope. I really appreciated what Black Widow brought to the MCU. And like, you know, I like the continuation of Yelena. I really think it's honestly in the MCU, it's probably my favorite combination of like OG and, you know, Lil Homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the MCU's got. Like, this is the last thing I'll say, right? Because again, the internet is kind of polarizing. People have said that this movie is ass. It's not. They're just hating. I think it's actually worth seeing, especially if you're like a legitimate, you know, Marvel fan that's been disappointed with Phase 4. This is kind of, you know, decent. But here's where people are tripping. I've seen takes talking about like, yo, this is the best movie that's come out since Endgame. I've seen people say this is the best Marvel content that's come out since Endgame. You know what I'm saying? Let's slow it down. I'm not saying that it can't be. I do think that like, you know, it's definitely in that same tier. But like, I feel like that take of like best movie since Endgame, best whatever since Endgame has been thrown around a lot. And I just want people to understand this. Like, there's been a lot of movies since Endgame, and not all of them are ass. I'm actually starting to feel like we kind of hold Phase 4. And so I'm gonna just say this. For your whole best movie since Endgame take, it's gotta be Black Panther 2, No Way Home, Black Widow, Guardians 3, and Brave New World. That's 5 movies off the top of my head that like you basically are saying that this movie is better than. And I'm not saying that it's not. There's a debate to be made, I guess, but let's just slow down with, you know what I'm saying, the whole best whatever since Endgame, because like there's some legitimate contenders out there. That being said, I'm trying to keep this video short so that we can get more of them, and I can also keep, you know, everything running smoothly. So there's gonna be more Thunderbolts related content. But this is just like, yo, this is how I felt about the movie. Boom. Peace.